Hello, Professor. My name is David Pratt. I am a student in your, I think it's CST 323 Cloud Computing class. I'm just coming here to make a recording for you for my really simple CRUD application that was my assignment for this week. This is already a website that I've made. You can see it's got some work done on the nav bar, and it's got a search thing that really doesn't work very well, but it's got some functional stuff that I've done before, so I just wanted to I made some updates to it to make it have some credibilities, and it's really simple, straightforward stuff, just using users and an admin side. And I don't even have it protected by like any middleware or anything like that, and I will be doing that. But so it's all that to say, it's still a work in progress. But just wanted to show you here really quick. We'll go through the view, kind of the user-facing side first, and then we'll make our way down into the code and kind of drill down into some of that and what's going on there. So you've got a list here. I've uploaded some mock data into my website. There's, I think, at this point, 1,001 users, maybe 1,000 users. So you can just see a list. This is admin/users. We'll work with Betty Olenin here at mebian.gov.cn. I don't even know what that is, but we're gonna look at their details here. You can see they are not an admin. Here's the email address. Here's the name of the user, and we're gonna delete her. We don't want them in here anymore. So hit yes, delete user, and you can see that no longer is that person there. So we'll take a look at this. Email at email.com, and we'll change their name to personal person, and we're going to make them an admin. And we're going to update it. Oh, I guess it's got a thingy on there so it can't have spaces. It's one of my frustrations. I made this using Laravel, which I'll get into, but they don't have a built-in way to verify just alpha space. So you can see we updated my name, and is admin stayed that way because we didn't check that if we check the box here. But yeah, Laravel doesn't have an out-of-the-box way to validate whether or not you've got spaces in there, and it can be alpha, so I have to build that myself, and I felt like that was beyond the scope of this. So yeah, so you can see we changed the admin status here of email at email.com. So let's take a look at the code here. This is just the view for that one. You can see we've got a modal, however you say that down here, which just has a form. And this is how we deleted. So it hits the admin delete, which we'll get into here in just a second. Actually, let me start there. Let's start with the routes here. So you can see we've got the admin routes here. These are really what I'm working with to that are CRUD. Everything else does, basically support create, read, update, and delete stuff, but it's less about that and more about creating a search controller. And things like that, so it wasn't necessarily focused on doing that. So yeah, I wanted to add some stuff to it to make it for sure be a create, read, update, delete situation. So we're using admin routes here. If we hit admin/users/user ID with a delete method, we're hitting this delete function in our admin controller, and I'll drill down into that in a second. But you can see that's what that form was hitting. If I go back to the show user, this form right here is a delete method. It's hitting admin delete /user ID. That's what this route helper function is going to do here. And it's deleting the user. It's got the user ID passed in through the request. Through the URI. And it deletes the user. Everything else up here, we've got a form that's submitting a patch request to admin update. And if we go back to our routes, you can see that is hitting this patch request right here, and it's hitting the controller, admin controller, and the update method. And we'll just go through the rest of it. Let's see, where did I find that? If I go to show users, show all, that's what it is. Really simple view here. I really didn't go into much. In reality, I'd want this a little bit different, but I'll get into next steps here in a little bit. But we're just looping through all the users that I passed in, and we are hitting the, we have a little anchor tag, and this is the details button, and it's submitting to the admin show user. So if we go back to the web, .php, you can see where the single show method is user/user ID, get request, show user. The index method is what we hit initially to get to the show users. So that index method is really simple. It's just returning that view and getting all the users from the database, and that's what's populating this table here. I don't know if that made any sense. I kind of rambled a little bit, but that's just really simple, straightforward MVC Laravel way of doing things. You can see this is my admin controller. We've got the index method that I just talked about, where we're getting all the users and returning a view to show them. And that's just that really simple table view. Then here's the show a single user, so we're passing in the user ID, we're finding that user, and we're returning just a single show user view, which is the one that had the view that had that modal in it and everything. And where you can update and delete it, and had the form and all that. Here's the update method, which is what we hit when we got to, if I go over here, and I hit details on our guy up here, my name. This is the form. If we click this update method, you can see, Control-Shift-C, you can see that this is submitting the form, and that form is submitting to admin/users/ID, and it's a method of patch. So that's going to hit this update form here. We're validating the request, we're finding the user if we can, and going through and doing all the stuff on that to update its information, that user's information, and then we're saving it to the database, persisting it in the database. If we can't find the user, we're throwing a 404, so if I tried to go in here, go admin/users/4005. Oh, it's trying to do the show user method. Okay, so we can do this. You're going to get to see some live coding of mine here. I didn't test this as well as I probably should have before I made a recording, but that's alright. It'll be a nice little show you how I work here. Oops, that one. And we'll tab all that over. So now if we can find the user, we're returning that view. Otherwise, we're going to put in this same stuff as I put in before. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, trying to talk and code is not a native ability. Otherwise, we're going to we're going to abort with a 404 code, user not found. There we go. So now if I refresh this and try and hit that same endpoint, you're going to see 404 not found, and down here on the console, it's logging a not found. I don't know where that log goes. I wish it would show it up here, but no matter, that's an internal Laravel thing. I could probably make it do that, but no big deal. So yeah, that's just a really simple overview of my code. You can see the delete method is really simple. We're just destroying that user ID, that user by user ID. I probably should add some validation here where should probably do the same thing. So I could say if equals user find by user ID, underscore ID. So if I can find that user, then I'm going to destroy them. Otherwise, oh, here. Yeah. We'll X that. We're going to destroy the user and then return a view. Otherwise, we're going to abort with again a 404 and say user not found. So now if we try and delete a user, if somehow somebody was able to quote unquote hack into it and hit this endpoint by submitting a delete request to this to the user's admin/user/user ID, they would hit this. If they passed in a user ID that didn't exist, we're going to get an abort that same 404 page that you're seeing right here. Yeah, that's my code. That's my create, read, update, delete application. Really simple. As far as next steps go, if I was to continue doing this, which I think, well, I will be, but I don't know if I'll be turning it in for any of the rest of my code. I'm not sure what the rest of the class entails. But if I were to continue trying to do this, I want to get, I want to get this screen so that I don't have whatever it is, like 1,000 users on here, I would love to paginate it, pull in some sort of table view jQuery JavaScript thing to help me with that, or maybe Vue, and help me paginate it, you know, next, before buttons, show the page number, something like that. I'd like to clean it up a little bit. It doesn't look super stylish, if you will. I'd love to make it so that you can click on a row instead of having to click on a details button, and clicking on the row will give you the details. Right now it just doesn't do anything. So that would be nice. And then there's some other stuff just for, you know, the website at large. I have these over here. You can see when it shrinks, the home button is still there. I don't know if you can see that. It gets kind of small. If you hover over the home button, it turns white. I need it to be, that SVG to be filled white when it's not hovered over. And when, you know, when it gets hovered over, it should turn to black. So that's a task. Getting the SVG to be sized correctly. You know, all of those kind of styling things. And then there's a bunch of other stuff behind this, you know, some other features that I'm adding and working on with this website as well. This is a personal project of mine that I'm just going to keep pounding away at a little bit even after I'm done with school, and just kind of trying to build this out, make it look cool, and make it work. So I think it's just been really fun to work on. So if you have any suggestions or ideas for me, that'd be great. And I will talk at you probably next week.